course list as with all the other majors. If you like plan out your academic plan really well, like most people graduate in 3 years or plus or minus like a quarter or two. And I think that gives you a lot of space and like time to explore what you want, especially because CS has like, I think 7 different concentrations where you can like learn different things. So I feel like in terms of academic climate, it's like relatively chill, but I think UCI has a lot of resources for you to see what you want to pursue. And yeah, does anyone want to jump in?
No, but like 12.
Yeah, so going off of what was said, UCI does have a lot of different things for you to do. We have over 600 different clubs. So compared to high school, there are a lot more different ways for you to get involved. So not just joining clubs, there's also internship opportunities for you to do over summer during the school year. There's also research that you can get involved in. So I am a bio major, as mentioned earlier, and one of the things that you can do as a bio major is get involved in research. So you can join a faculty member's lab and actually conduct scientific research and a lot of those cool things. You can also join student government, which I did beginning my first year. And so like also mentioned, there are a lot of different concerts, movie nights, events, a lot of those different things that we host for you all. But there's also just a lot of different ways in and out of the campus to immerse yourself and to find what you truly like. And that's the social aspects. Regarding academics, things can get pretty competitive in a 3-quarter system, but you really learn to develop better studying habits, find ways to get involved in different study groups.
So since it's being posted
UCI,
online,
we have a lot of different tutoring programs
to put on
that you can really join and participate in and just be with other students who are in the same classes as you. And I would say UCI, in terms of learning and the learning environment, things can get pretty fast, but it's manageable. So, but go to the professor's office hours, go to your TA's office hours, and just find different resources for you to be successful in academics. And yeah.
Just want to add a little bit to what was already said. I do think that this is just, again, my personal opinion on this, but I do think that the academic environment at UC Irvine, I feel, is not, there definitely is competition, because there's definitely, of course, people who are seeking to, be at the top of the class and whatnot. But, I would say that it's a lot less sort of like cutthroat than what you may, I guess, what you may hear from like other schools, like maybe at like, Berkeley or like LA. I've heard stories from friends, in competitive majors who would say like, oh my God, like, people wouldn't like share notes with me or something like that just because of how sort of cutthroat. And I think that like the academic sort of culture and climate of UCI doesn't really have that. I feel like everybody is really receptive, and there's, again, a lot of resources on campus that are really just trying to help you. And I really say like take advantage of that. And in regards to student culture, I think that student culture is definitely what you make of it. One thing that we have that's really big here is dance, right? Like we have about seven official dance teams on campus, and there's a numerous amount of project teams that exist as well. And so I really think that student culture is really what you get out of it, but there's no lack of opportunities that exist at UCI, and it's really just up to finding it and utilizing it.
And then moving on to the next question, I think this one's pretty interesting. What do you recommend for choosing courses as for the first quarter? Like focusing on like requirements or going straight into your important classes for your selected major?
For me, I'm a pharm sci major, so at least for my major, there's required courses for each quarter, and usually the requirements take up or can take up 12 units, so you can decide to add more if you want. I think if I was to go back, I would add a little, I would for sure like finish my writing like freshman year, because the courses are a lot easier freshman year. I'm doing writing right now in my like third quarter of sophomore year, and it's really challenging with OChem and Bio 99, which you would take. So yeah, I think the bio classes and chem classes freshman year are a lot easier and easier to handle. So you can decide to take some GEs if you want. But I think for at least for farm sci and I think bio, they have the same course requirements, like similar course requirements for the first 2 years. So if you are any of those majors, I recommend you to focus on your major requirement classes and like scoring well in those, but also thinking about like maybe a minor that you would want to do and using that as your extra class on top of the requirements that you have to take.
Yeah, and then kind of thinking back on what Sandy said there, the like taking your writing courses, I think I took that my first year, and that's like one of the things I'd recommend for everyone. I took Hume core, so that way you could get out some GEs too. It's said to be kind of hard, but in my opinion, even though I was a bad writer and I didn't get great scores, it was kind of hard, I guess, but I learned a lot, and that's kind of what I take from it. So yeah, I'd recommend that. And then also I'd recommend if you are taking maybe not a STEM major, maybe something that's like can be done quicker, because like I'm taking poli-sci, and if you take poli-sci like major requirements and like go for it like 6 units each quarter, you can be done in 3 years. So that's an issue if you're trying to pick up a double major or like another minor, because if you're done with your major, then it can affect your financial aid if you're done ahead of time. So what I'd recommend doing is, exploring, taking other things you're interested in. This is the time you can take them as GEs. This is the time to see what you like. You might change, grab something else in addition, but also it's your first year, this is new, try stuff. That's like an opportunity here.
All right, sorry, real quick, I just wanted to add something to what Cindy said. She had mentioned Hume Core, which is definitely a great program. But I just really wanted to put this out there just because, since it exists, you might be inclined to take it. It is a great program, but the thing is that make sure to look at the requirements that you've already completed. I realized that with my score, like in AP, I think it's AP English, or forgot what the AP is, but it actually satisfied a lot of the requirements at Hume Core. I basically only needed 1 class within the 3 course series that was necessary, and I basically sort of took 2 classes relatively for basically just credit. So I just wanted to just quickly add that to make sure that you look at the requirements first before understand what you need to understand what classes you need to get, what you need to get out of the way. So just so you don't end up taking classes that may not even help you.
Yeah, and a great resource for that is DegreeWorks in your WebReg. That just gives you an outline of every single requirement you have, the classes that fulfill that requirement, and essentially if you're on track to graduate or not.
Okay. Is there anything anybody else wants to add? My apologies. No? Okay, well, let's move on to the next one. For our next question, our audience had asked, what do you dislike most about UC Irvine and how can it improve?
Right, so I'm gonna start on this one. I think UCI is great. I love the campus really nice. But I wish we had a little bit more school spirit. That's just my opinion on it, because no, we're animators, it's cool. Let's amp it up a bit. And I also wish we could be more politically involved, organizing, advocating. If everyone was able to state their opinion and be heard, that'd be a great thing. Of course, it depends per person, but that's what I wish would be more in the school.
I definitely want to echo the same sentiment. I do think that there is a lack of school spirit, and I think that it will be relatively apparent once you get there, and you'll kind of see and understand what it is that we're talking about. But the thing is that I feel that, I know that one big common denominator between UC Irvine and a lot of other schools is like, we don't have a football team. And the thing is that, while you may be, thinking of like, everybody talks about USC, UCLA, like tailgates and whatnot. But I mean, the thing is that there's still a lot of, a lot of school spirit that revolves around other things. We have a successful, I believe it's women's basketball, something like that. There's definitely some sports teams that do have quite a following or on campus, in addition to as I mentioned before, like dance teams. Tons of people come out for all IDC, all Irvine dance teams, and we have there's different events that draw a ton of people, and so I feel like you can find school spirit alternatively, which I would say that. So I guess my answer to that would be how I would improve it is just sort of somehow raise school spirit that way, invite people to events, make everybody come out and really interact with the UCI campus at large.
Also, adding on to that, UCI is a D1 school, so a lot of our students that are athletes do have good financial scholarships, but just in case. And then moving on to our last question, what has been your most memorable experience at UC Irvine? And I'm going to be answering this one. I think. So I'm a second year, and I just experienced it's almost been a year since I've been at UCI, or since my spring quarter, and to say what I was thinking in this exact time last year was that I think freshman year was the most I've ever grown and experienced in my whole life, because dorming was such a good experience because you're not at home, you don't have your parents surrounding you and telling you what to do all the time. This is a new environment, and you essentially get to reinvent your entire sense of self. And one of the things that worked really well for me was rushing. So I'm currently part of Theta Tau, which is an engineering fraternity, and just experiencing pledge and rush and going through what it means to be a brother, and seeing what that fraternity values just really gave me an open experience to seeing and meeting a lot of different people that I would have never met because they weren't in my major. And there's definitely so many clubs on campus that you can get through that, because what Randy said earlier, there's 33,000 undergraduates, and you can't meet all of them. So I feel even if you commit yourself to one club, you don't always have to stick with that one club. You have no obligations to be with that club. You can always switch around and move around until you see the friend group that you want to stick with. And that I guess rushing and pledging was one of my most memorable experiences. Does anyone else want to jump in?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Getting involved, that's kind of the thing we keep. That's how we get to meet more people. I've been a part of ATCI since my first year, even before I got I was doing my interview, ready to be a part of that, because I thought it was great what they were doing. And through that, I got to meet so many people, so many friends from there. I have a place that I could go to that office and study there, do work there. It's great to find a community that you want to continue, you like what it's about, and you also like the people there, you get to meet people. I know that my first year, I got involved in a club that's, I met some friends there. Me and my friends never went to that club again, but we went to a beach trip. And after that day, we've been friends since 2 years later. We went to New York together, this last year. That's crazy. We still don't, we don't know about the club, but I met these friends there. And that's what's kind of great to just do something, If you see something that you find interesting, go to it. You have these chances, you have all these choices. So take a leap, try it.
Sandy, is there something you wanted to add to this one, or was it?
About like the question of what do you dislike about UCI, I was just thinking about it, and I just wanted to add because when I was before coming into UCI, like when I was a senior in high school, when I was choosing colleges, I thought like public school, like when people tell me that the classes are bigger, that it wouldn't influence me, and it doesn't influence me in terms of like a huge class and lecture, but I think more so in office hours from like my own class, there's just like way too many people, and it's really hard to get the attention of teachers. So I think that's something that needs to be considered when you're choosing your school, because but at the same time, like because it's a large class, there's a lot of TAs holding office hours. It's just that if you decide to go in the last minute, there's a lot of times where everyone decides to go at last minute, and then the room can't even fit everyone, and it's really hard to get your question answered. And for the teacher to help you specifically, you would have to listen to other people's questions and try to learn from that, or be very outgoing and pushing your question forward in front of other people. So that's something to consider when you are choosing your school, I guess.
So is there anything that anybody wanted to add to the memorable experience? No? Okay. Apologies, we actually have one last question. It's just hanging out there on the bottom of our list there. And so imposter syndrome is a concept that many of us heard during our first years, and discussed just some of the insecurities as an incoming frosh joining such a selective class.
For me, I was kind of insecure about people from other schools coming into UCI, because I lived in Mesa Towers my first year, and I knew like our tower was very social, and before I had a lot of friends that attend the same class as me, and it was really clear to me that they're like very bright too, and I was kind of intimidated by that. And these are only like a few people in like a 400 like per people class, so yeah, so I was like, oh, there must be even more like better people out there, I don't know. Yeah, so I was kind of scared about that, but actually I think it got better over time of me just trying to do my best, and instead of thinking of like how other people are studying, but just like focusing on improving on my own. And I think I was also insecure because there was a lot of people in my hall that were on sports scholarships, so they were all like very athletic, and there was like 3 basketball players, and like everyone was like musically talented and very like bright. So I was kind of insecure and thinking like I didn't have anything because I wasn't in sports or anything. So yeah, those were like my insecurities, I guess.
For me, it's more so I came from a very small high school, so I was the only one that came to UCI from my high school, and I'm a bio major. And my high school didn't do a good job at preparing me for the field in STEM. And so I came in, everyone was already, they already took all these different AP bio courses, AP Chem courses and all that in high school. And I didn't have the luxury to do all of that. So I was kind of behind in classes, and everyone else was all just ready and knew the material beforehand. So I had to definitely try harder in studying and trying to understand the different concepts and all of that. And so that's more so my biggest insecurity, not being as smart as everyone else. But if you work hard, you will be able to just do well in your classes. It's not about how smart you are, it's about how hard working you can be to make sure you're learning and you're doing what you need to do in order to succeed. So yeah.
Is there anything anybody else wants to kind of jump in and add? No? Okay. We'll move on to section of rapid fire questions, where we've just compiled some of the shorter questions that are submitted and trying to get as much information to you guys as possible. So, for the first one, what's your favorite first year class you took? Randy?
Oh yeah. So although I am a bio major, my favorite class first year wasn't a bio class. It was actually sociology, one intro to sociology with Professor. I think he retired, but regardless, the material in the class was very interesting. So that's why I liked it my first year.
My favorite class was also not major related. It was writing 31. So as a freshman, you have to take like 2 writing classes and like 39B and 39C. But instead of 39C, I took 31, which is creative fiction. And we just wrote short stories, and that was really fun.
So for my favorite first year class, it was definitely Humanities Core 1B. It's a three-part series, but basically, like, I just really liked the TA who did my just because the second part of the discussion parts are run by a TA, and the TA that I had was just really insightful, really helpful. She also gave me an A, so that's also why I also liked her. But beside the point.
My favorite was Hume Core, but it was the C one. So it's the last one you take, and that one we got to like analyze anything we wanted, kind of like analyze what it says. So I chose like a piece of music and like connect it to something else. But it was fun to do. And then she was a great TA, so I got a good score.
I think my favorite class was Chem 1C because 1B was like really hard. So 1C actually was a lot easier because I really like the professor. His name is Sherwila. So if you take 1C, you should take him. He's a lot better. And then the other ones offered, and everybody wants to take. I think you understand more when you like start to know your professors. Everybody wants to take Aristotsingham, but for that quarter, Shirai was better, in my opinion. But yeah, he made the class really fun.
And moving on to our next question, what's your favorite place to study? And I can answer this first. I love ALP. ALP second floor has these like desks that look outside to UCI, and it's like a standing desk. And when you've been sitting all day typing, like it's pretty nice to stand up. And I've learned a trick that ALP is 24 hours, and as long as they don't kick you out, you're fine.
ALP, amazing. Like you said, it's really cool. I like studying at UTC, like picking up food place like Nectar or something, and just sitting there and eating and trying to study. Like,
I also like ALP. ALP is it's our newest building on campus, so everything's all new. Everything's really aesthetic and nice looking. And if not ALP, then the pub. I've studied at the pub a few times. It's very lively in there. It's kind of dark as well, and everyone just does their own thing. So try going to the pub. They also have good food, so there's that.
I think my favorite place, like my freshman year, like I said, I lived in Mesa Towers. But even if you just live in Mesa, you have access to the Mesa study room, and I think that was a really good place. And at first, it had time limits, but now it's 24 hours, and you can just swipe your key card and go inside. And it's easier for you to find seats because only like Mesa residents can go there, and there's like many rooms in there that you can reserve too, and it's new, so the seating's nice. But right now there's Middle Earth Towers, so that might be even more nice from what people say, because it was just built this year, I think. But yeah, if you have access. If I don't have access, I usually go study in my room, to be honest.
For my favorite place to study, this is, I would say, the super stereotypical Orange County study spot. It would be at a boba shop. I love studying at Seven Leaves. The drinks are just amazing. Just a great kind of like chill environment to just kind of study, because, you know, like, I mean, of course, this is pre-quarantine, but it's just really great place because, like, the drinks are amazing. You can just kind of sit down, do your work, have like boba next to you, and it's like just like a great way to just get productive studying done. That's all I have to say. Sorry, was I muted? Oh, okay, cool. Sorry, for the next question, it is what's your biggest regret in college so far?
For me, I'd say like coming to college, I knew academics wasn't it. I knew like I wanted to come to college for like more than just academics, like social life or like professionalism and like internships and whatnot. But I have to say, I should have passed some classes that I did not pass. So I'd say like even though like I guess have the work hard like play hard mindset, like even though like I was like going out like a lot of times during my dorm, like I think making sure that you're at least keeping up with all your assignments, because like you don't want to fail any classes, and like retaking that classes, if like let's say you fail like 3 classes and you like retake those 3 classes, that's like 5K down the drain because you messed up a quarter. So I'd say even though like you're like playing hard and like going to all these events, like making sure that you're at least like passing everything. That is my biggest regret.
I think that's also my biggest regret, not passing some classes. It's just, you just gotta know the right balance between academics and everything else, and just making sure you're not slacking off, because retaking a class, sure, you might know the material better, but you're still retaking the class, and so it kind of haunts me sometimes that I'm retaking some of these classes and I just don't want to retake them again ever. So just do your best your first time and make sure you're keeping up with everything, studying not the night before a midterm or final or anything, and just be on top of everything. Yeah.
I think for me is like not thinking that I can do as well as I can, if that makes sense. I think when I was studying for especially like bio classes, like I think chem classes are easier to study for because you can just do practice problems, and I feel like it's easy to be active. But for bio, I could be reading and then I like don't understand anything, and after that first skim, I'm like, oh, I wasted 2 hours reading, so I'm not gonna do it ever again. So I did that last quarter for bio 98, which is biochem, and that was not smart. And for biochem, and like now with like quarantine, but even without like COVID, some of these bio classes allow open notes and allow you to like work with your classmates, but like I would recommend not to take advantage of that, and to really like learn yourself, because it's not just for the grade, and it's easier if you, after that 2 hours and you don't get it, keep on going for it, because one day you'll get it, and that time, even though it seems like it's a waste, it adds up for your understanding, if that makes sense. So I kind of regret like thinking too little of myself and just saying, oh, I don't understand it, but I would rather have like tried harder and understand it more, and like at least ask people to understand it, instead of trying to like seem cool and be like, yeah, I understand it, but I actually didn't understand it. So yeah.
I also want to add this question. I know as a freshman, like you're obviously like trying to like have fun and whatnot, but I just want to say know your limits. You don't want to be that one kid that has to get their stomach pumped. Anyways, yeah, Andy.
Oh yeah. Biggest regret. I think I did too much. And try not to do too much. It sounds kind of counterintuitive because once you get to college, you're like, dang, there's so much stuff to do. Like, you know, what, like I have what, like 6. If you sleep like 4 hours, you have 20 hours in the day to do something, right? So, not saying you should, but you know, the thing is that when you as a first year, I feel this is just my personal opinion there, but you know, as a first year, I feel that once you once you like invest yourself in too many things, you're going to realize that your sort of time is being pulled away into different parts, and like, you know, you're constantly running from like one place to another. And I feel like it really kind of like stymies personal like relationships with people, just because like, you know, if you're constantly bouncing from place to place, it's hard to get to know people. But I would just say, you know, just try and like pick very specific things that you want to do, and invest your time into it. And then, you know, and you still have 3 years, like, you know, including your first year, you still have 3 years down the road, which you can, you know, put yourself into other new social situations. And so just kind of be mindful of your time.
For me, my biggest regret was, besides maybe a class, some class I also regret like not starting on my major and like minor earlier, because like I knew I wanted to do it, and then I missed out like the mark because you had to like start your first quarter for like, it was a series, and because of that I had to wait like a whole year to try again. So yeah, that's something that kind of like put me back, and it's still like something I'm trying to catch up to.
Okay. Well, is anybody else have any last minute things to add? Any things you just remembered? No? Okay, cool. And that concludes our prepared questions. We know that we weren't able to probably answer all of your submitted questions, but we tried to include the ones that were most requested. I'm certain that you all have plenty more questions. So please feel free to use the raise hand feature on Zoom. If you do have a question, or just drop it in the group chat. You can also private message one of the moderators if you'd like to anonymize the question. And for everyone else, you know, if you could just please be respectful to the person asking that question, just remain muted until you want to speak. The question that was posed is, what made you choose UCI? I guess I'll just, okay, no, sorry. Does anyone want to? Okay, cool. I'll just quickly answer this one. Feel free to jump in after me. I chose UCI because I went there, like, I had a friend who went to University High School, which is the high school that's like right across the street. I remember like hanging out with him a lot in Irvine, and I would look at UCI and I'm like, oh my God, like I love this place. It's super cool. My high school's dance team finals were actually held in the Brent Event Center. So I've been kind of going there for about 2 years in a row in high school, like my junior and senior year. UTC really was like, oh my God, there's so much good food, chopper tea, you know, boba spots and whatnot. So I was like, you know, I really, really, really want to go here. And it actually worked out because I actually got rejected from every other UC other than UCI. So it was like meant to be.
Felt that last one. But similar to what Annie said, I think like SPOC, which is the summer event where you go down to Irvine and you pick out your classes and you kind of experience what UCI is like, really like made me fall in love with UCI, because just like the people and like how friendly they were. And then the biggest thing that also like pushed me towards UCI was the fact that like UCI is the only UC that has their own like college for computer science. So like we have the like Donald Bren of ICS school, and that's that was really helpful because that means we have our own community team just dedicated to CS. And also I chose it because there's like 10 different boba places just in like a 7 minute like mile radius, and that's always really helpful when you need like a boba.
I chose it because it was a good distance away from my house. And also, it's I kind of like what Andy said. I mean, it was up there on the one that I wanted to do, one UC I wanted to go to. But yeah, they also offered like a good financial aid, so I was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna go here, and it looked nice.
Did anyone else want to add anything to this one? Sure. Okay. We'll just move on to the next one. Question for Randy. I know you're a bio major. What made you choose UCI to pursue a career in the STEM field? What internships does the major offer? And do they work with local hospitals like the HOC, Children's Hospital, St. Joseph's, and the UCI Medical Center?
Yeah, so I chose UCI as a bio major because I originally was pre-med, pre-health. Now I'm no longer any of that. But UCI has a really great bio program. We have a medical center. We do have partnerships with Koch as well. UCI's bio program has a lot of different opportunities you can get involved in. So right now I'm involved in molecular bioresearch, where we have this program called the Undergraduate Research Opportunities Program, UROP, where students can do research and then there's summer opportunities, the summer something program, SURP, and then you actually get paid $3,000 over the summer for doing research, and just a lot of different opportunities to get yourself involved in research. There's also the Koch Health Scholars Program. I think that one is partnered up with the Hoag Hospital in Newport Beach, where you can shadow physicians and all of that stuff. UCI Medical Center has the UCI Health Volunteer Program, something like that, where you can go to the hospital and volunteer your time. Yeah.
Also, like I wanted to add on to like internship offers at UCI. So I've done an internship at Amazon, and I'm going to Google this summer. And I just want to say that like I think UCI clubs specifically help you get a lot of like information. Like I know Randy like specified on like school opportunities, but I'd say like a lot of the like clubs and fraternities like on campus have a lot of older members who've been at these companies, and they're like willing to give you referrals and like help you like interview and prep. So like if you guys do want to like get more, I guess like advance like your professionalism, like make sure to join like major specific clubs, or like clubs that especially like work on projects that help like work on like project clubs. Like I know there's a lot of like CS clubs that focus, or there's a lot of senior design projects in the engineering school, like CubeSat, or like some other projects, but they do some really cool stuff, and they have direct connections to like companies. Like one of our UCI like project teams, they compete in the Hyperloop competition every year, and that's a project directly funded by Elon Musk and Tesla and like SpaceX. So yeah.
And to bounce off of that, it's not about what you know sometimes, it's about who you know. So building your network and finding those people who can really recommend opportunities to you, internships and all of that is very important for your future and for your undergrad career.
Okay, we're just gonna, does anyone else have anything else to add here? Okay, cool. So another question was posed: are there any commercial music-based clubs around campus? Sorry, could you clarify that question a bit? What do you mean by like commercial music, as in, and sort of genre? Is it genre-based, or just to see if we could better answer that question? Okay. Popular music opportunities, so clubs that don't focus on classic / jazz. So, okay, so this is just, I guess, I'm not 100% sure about sort of music clubs because I guess that's just not one of my personal interests. But the thing is that there are a ton of clubs on campus, and I know Randy can attest to that. And there's organizations for practically everything. Some that I personally know is it's like Anteater, like student production club. It's basically just EDM music and learning to produce music, produce beats, make EDM music and whatnot. But there's definitely just a ton of clubs on campus, and I'm sure there's like a music club or something that does exist there. Sorry, I can't provide too much of a specification as to what actually does exist, but I hope that kind of answers the question. If anyone else wants to add.
I haven't heard the one you were talking about, so that means like I don't know of like all music clubs, but I do know that there's one for people who are music majors it's called Open Jam. So they just do like, they teach you like instruments. There's also like open mics, and it's like really cool environment. So that they also do like music things too. Like they have people. There's like a Facebook group. It's cool for even people who aren't music majors. So that's like one thing. And as like Andy was saying, there's probably even more. So yeah, I'd recommend like going to the involvement fair fall quarter and like even like looking now to see what clubs there are. They usually have like Facebook pages or an Instagram, and you can like feel free to look through that.
And then moving on to the question about the Mirage undergrad business program. So I think the business school is like one of the most prized departments and really funded schools on campus. And one of the things that they focus a lot on is MUSA. It's the Mirage Undergrad Student Association, I think, and it's like a big business program for business students only, and it's kind of like their own like ASCCI, and they focus a lot on like bringing companies and events to the Mirage school, and they always like host like weekly like nights where they bring in like a lot of like corporate sponsors, and that's like a great way to get involved. And then for job placement, internships, and alumni network, I definitely like think that alumni network is really strong because they have that program. And Mirage is also really focused on their business fraternities. So there's Delta Sigma Pi, AK Psi, and Lambda Phi Nu. So those are the three main business fraternities on campus, and they definitely have like really like expansive like alumni networks because they've been here for like over like 10 years. Besides Lambda Phi Nu, they definitely like can get you in with both internships and like job placements because their alumni network is so big. And if you have any more questions, they have all of their social media online, so you can just search it up.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask if anybody else has anything further to add.
I was just going to add to that, because I know you said undergrad, that you, like whoever asked the question was in the business program. I know that school, it's a really cool school. Like the classes they give, I'm not like, that's not my major, but I did take a minor up in there. And like, they're really like, they prepare you a lot for whatever class you're taking. So even if you aren't in that, like try looking at their stuff. They have like an entrepreneurship program that anyone can join. Like there's a lot of things that school does for a lot of students. So I'd recommend, even if you aren't in it, or if you even are, like there's so many opportunities. Like start looking at the site.
This is like super quick because I know we got some other questions here, but to answer your question though, Mirage does a fantastic job in terms of getting people and just connecting students. They're, I would say, like widely renowned, and this is just from my personal experience because I did rush for a business fraternity at some point in my college, and it's like I think there are some business fraternities that boast like 90% job placement rates after college, which is insane, and you know they have people who are currently interning for like. Shoot, I just muted myself. They both companies like Disney, Fortune 400, 500, something like that. Just basically, they boast a lot of definitely great job placement rates and definitely a lot of opportunities like this. Okay, anybody want to add anything, or can we move on to the next question? Okay, cool. Okay, great. Do you guys recommend taking the humanities core or writing courses to satisfy the writing requirement? Oh wait, no, sorry, I missed it. What do you guys think of the poli-sci major? Oh, okay, well, this question is basically kind of similar there. Cindy, do you want to go first, or you want me to?
I can go. Yeah, poli-sci. I'm taking, my emphasis is going to be in political theory. So I like more like the philosophy-based ideas of it. I like the classes in that. The thing that, I don't know, the like intro classes are my favorite, but it's okay because like there's, as you start getting up, like you choose emphasis on like, you know, the higher ones. I don't know what it's called. The ones that are like the 100 series. So like you have your intro and then you have the other ones. So you can emphasize on like things. So like I took a class with Andy this last quarter, and it was like conservatives versus liberals. So like there's a lot of cool things that you can choose from, and it like differs. So that's what I like about like poli-sci.
I guess not to be repetitive, but the thing is that my answer may seem a little jaded. I think the poli-sci program is mediocre, per se. It's okay. It's okay. And the thing is that if you want to have a discussion afterwards, I could probably give you some more insight into that. I think that for people who enter into poli-sci, you should be very, very specific in what you want, because poli-sci is there's a lot of political theory. It's purely theory. And the thing is that I just know that there's sometimes, like, you know, some people are like, oh, I didn't know, I thought there was going to be more like practical application, and it's really not. It's very strong emphasis on theory. There are good professors though, definitely, but that's just what I would say. And I think that it could definitely be improved upon with more opportunities. But, you know, don't let that discourage you. If you are applying as a political science major, there is actually ways to circumvent this by getting internships outside of like the school campus. Right?
Yeah, I think, sorry to add on to that, but I think that, yeah, there's a lot of things that, because I know, so I was saying we were part of ASUCI. We did external work, so we worked advocating. We went to like legislators, you know, talking about legislation. Me and Andy are like both involved, like working with our legislators right now, and like that's kind of like an opportunity that like UCI gave us. So even though the program might not be the best, opportunities are still there, and like I think we're doing great things out of it. So yeah, like that.
Okay, I think we'll probably take a couple more questions, and then again, you know, I think some of us will be here after our time slot, and feel free to chat with us about anything, honestly. Oh, do you guys recommend taking the humanities core or writing courses to satisfy the writing requirement?
If you have like Andy mentioned earlier, if you have a lot of your prerequisites that humanities core has already to satisfy that humanities core satisfied, but you already have it from like AP classes, then I wouldn't recommend taking it. But if you don't have a lot of prereqs and you want to get writing over with, and some of your GEs, I would recommend humanities.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because yeah, at least for me, I was like really not the best at writing, so I wasn't like ahead. You know, I was like there's like placements you get. I was in placements with regular writing, so because of that, Hume Core was like the easier option for me. Like everything would, like I wouldn't have to take that much units, and plus I learned so much. Like every quarter you learn like 3 different topics. It's intense, but it's like so like you learn so much history. Wow.
All right, and so to answer the question that everybody's probably thinking, it's all about the TA. You got to get a good TA to get a good grade in this class. Like they're going to be doing most of the grading. I mean, if you end up going to UCI and you end up taking humanities core, feel free to just ask who the cool TAs are. I feel like, whoever took Hume core could probably tell you. I took 3 different TAs, 2 of which were meh. One was great. So I mean, just people have reputations at UCI, and so if you just want to ask the question, is great, feel free to ask it.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. TAs are, you would think that professors are the ones doing all the grading and all of that, teaching and all of that, but it's all TAs. So in a lot of the different labs, for example, they're all instructed by TAs. And so I've had bad TAs, I've had good TAs. TAs are really the people who you want to work with in college in order to be successful.
Does anyone else have anything else to add, or let's see if we can maybe take like 2 more questions here. I have a question about clubs. For example, I'm a CS major. Is there an application process to CS club, or is there a different way to join clubs at UCI?
So I can take this one. I think it depends what club you apply to be on, but just like as a general thing for across all like clubs mostly, you can just join the club. Like for example, at Involvement Thirds, like you just sign up to be on their mailing list, and you're kind of like officially part of the club. They just send you updates, and you can go do events that you can make it or not. And then to be a part of like a club, like the board, that's when you have to apply to things. Like for example, like Hack at UCI, which hosts like the yearly hackathons and other workshops. Like you can go to the hackathons and go to their workshops, but you're kind of like considered a general member, and like to be like actually like in the club on board, like you have to go through like a application process. Yeah.
Anybody else have anything to add? Okay. Are there lots of scholarship opportunities available? Randy, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so
I know all of them.
we have the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships at UCI, where they on their website there's a whole list of different scholarships. Every year, I believe in February is when when most of these deadlines for scholarships close. There's a variety of different scholarships, different GPA requirements for all of them. They also specify per major, and they have folks who can help you go through the entire scholarship application process for those who don't know how to answer some prompts and stuff like that. And yeah.
Add to that, that at least for me, I had a scholarships for like the 2 years, and then like they finished. So because of that, like it was great that UCI came up like this year with their one application scholarship. So I'm pretty sure this might continue next year, but like look out for that like next year when it like comes around, or this year if we can find it too. But I know that that's like something that like is given through the financial aid office. So.
Yeah, the Alumni Association should also be coming out with a scholarship for first years. So I think you'll get an email about that over the summer. And there are a lot of recipients for that scholarship. So you might even be one of them. So make sure to apply and just take advantage of all these different opportunities for your scholarship, because money is money.
And that'll be our last question because we're out of time. We also have a few panelists who have some time after to stay after a little. So if you have any more specific questions, feel free to stay. We want to thank all the panelists for taking the time to be here, as well as for all of you to be participating. Hopefully you guys have found this helpful, informative, and enjoyable way to learn more about the UCI community. We want to take this opportunity to invite you all to help expand CollegeSide Chats. This is a very much like word of mouth project, and we need all the help we can get. Our goal is to host several chats across various universities and help them with marketing and outreach, which can be as simple as helping us post our next chat in another college's Facebook page, or sharing our Instagram posts or your stories. With that all being said, thank you so much again for joining us. Thank you to the panelists for volunteering your time, and congratulations to all your acceptances. And we hope that you and your loved ones stay healthy. Welcome to UCI. And then this is to Christine, because she's still here. She DM'd me a private question. She asked if I was part of for engineering fraternity I'm a part of, and what's rushing like. I think it's the same for like all fraternities across like different like social and professional, but it's usually the first or second week of fall or any of the quarters, and specifically for the one I'm in, which is Beta Tau, we rush only fall and spring, and it's the first week where you rush, and every day is like a different like event style. So like Monday could be like intro night, the second night could be like an engineering challenge, and that it goes on for 4 days. So like Monday through Thursday, and that's just getting to know the fraternity, and it's essentially like you're trying to meet the most people you can in those 4 days and make like a good conversation as well as like good like impression on them. And then on the fourth night, that's when you get an email whether you've like been accepted to like the next part, which is like invite only like barbecue. And then once you get like invited to that and everything, you just kind of experience like what it's like to have more one-on-one conversations, since usually at Rush we have anywhere from like 100 to 200 people, so it's really hard to like get to know everyone on like a personal level. So BBQ's night is the night where like it's like the most important and you have the most like important conversations. And then Friday is all interviews, and then by the weekend you'll know whether you've been accepted to be a pledge or not. And then I think there was a question previous to that. Can we take college courses this summer to fill some GEs for the fall? If anyone wants to answer that.
Yes, you can. You would just need to take a look at how they transfer over to UCs, which I believe should be in Found in the Course catalog. You can see, there's like a website as well. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but basically it shows you which classes will translate into which UC requirement.
Yeah, I believe that website is assist.org. So that website shows which community college courses transfer over to UC credits, and you can do this before freshman year, but after you're in at UCI, like some courses, if they're major requirements, like for bio, for example, bio, chem, physics, and math, you can't take those for major credit at a community college. So just make sure to consult your counselors to make sure you're taking classes that actually count towards your major or your GEs, and you don't want to have to take the classes twice. So yeah.
There's also Freshman Edge if you're interested in already coming on campus and like getting classes at UCI, and that starts like around August.
Are there any other questions?
For Kevin's question about the RA, and we're not sure if it's housing or research, if you want to clarify that. So for housing, there are like a lot of RA opportunities, and it's usually, I think most people apply to be an RA in spring, and then they get their application results by summer so that they can prep for the upcoming year. And for housing, I know it's every floor has their own RA, and for me specifically, I lived in the new support towers last year, and like the RA usually lives in the front of the hall, and then they just kind of like host events as well as like making sure that like the first years know like when to move, when events are, and like all the updates around school campus. And it's usually like a pretty like good like gig, I presume, because you get free housing for the whole year, and you also get like a free meal plan, and your room is like as big as a quad, and which is what most people live in if they're in the musical towers. Was there anything specific like you wanted to hear about being an RA? you can apply to be as a freshman. I think it's usually spring quarter of freshman year, and you just like have the summer to prepare for that. And you can be an RA like all years after you're a freshman, since like you now have like the experience and like I guess with each year you like get better. But I think at the end of your year when you're an RA, you do get like reviewed by other people just to see like your progress and like how well you've done. I think it's a interview process too. So you have an application and then you have to go through interviews with the housing community.
Kevin, if you have any specific questions, feel free to if you want to just friend request me on Facebook or something like that, and then just send me your questions there. I have a close friend who is an RA, and I feel like I can get you an answer to most of your questions in terms of application, what you might be doing if that's what you're interested in, and just sort of just get it from person. I would just say if you want a very specific answer, I could probably help you get there. But I would just if you'd like to just reach out that way. Is there any other questions from our 5 people in here? Okay. Huh? Oh, someone stopped. Okay. All right. Rita, do you want to end it? Or not seeing anything else, then I think we might be the last few people left in this room.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone, and I'll see you fall or winter next year.
Or winter if it's not online.